everybody. I welcome you all at ELET's Innovation Talk. I am Karthik Sharma, Managing Editor at ELET's Technomedia, and I welcome you at this very popular and renowned platform by ELET's Technomedia, which is ELET's Innovation Talk, where we talk to various innovators, various leaders in various sectors about the great work they are doing to serve the community as a whole. Uh, these leaders are maybe from government, from civil societies, from industry, and various other sectors. And somewhere in the ground, they are innovating and making some change and some good change in the lives of people. And today we have a renowned personality with us in this Let's Innovation Talk, Mr. HSD Srinivas. He is Director for Health in a very renowned organization, Tata Trust. So I welcome you, Mr. HSD Srinivas.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Right. Thank you, sir. And today, his interaction will happen with the project head for special projects in ELEX Technomedia, Mr. Krishna Mishra. And I welcome you, Mr. K.C. Mishra,
Thank you, Karthik.
for giving us time. Both of you, thank you so much for sparing time for this. I'm very sure it will be a wonderful interaction between both of you. And to start this interaction, I request Mr. Krishna Mishra to please take over.
Thank you, Karthik, and thank you once again, Mr. HSD Srinivas, Director Health, Tata Trust, for taking out time and coming at this forum. As already mentioned by my colleague, Managing Editor Karthik Sharma, that ILET's Innovation Talk has evolved as one of the major platforms of ILET's Technomedia, wherein we have tried to rope in prominent policymakers, both from the central as well as the state governments. We have also tried to rope in prominent industry leaders and also prominent persons from the intelligentsia and think tanks to highlight their best practices, to highlight their innovations which they are fostering in their areas of operation. And the larger objective is to propagate these ideas and these innovations to larger sections of the society. And that is the basic purpose of our existence also, to ignite minds and change people's livings. So with this, I once again, on behalf of entire Illustrious Technopedia, would like to welcome HSD Srinivas, Director of Health, Tata Trusts. Uh, as being the head of the health vertical in Tata Trust, so we can understand that things must have been too hectic, particularly in the past 18 months, although health is one of these areas, along with education, which has always demanded an attention by top policymakers at all the levels, where we should have been in the past 75 years. There is still a lot of gap to be covered. But despite all the challenges, despite all the gaps, if I put all the challenges before pandemic, during the pandemic, post pandemic, then there are three different distinctions which can emerge out of it. So against this backdrop, what were the key initiatives which were undertaken by Tata Trust to mitigate the effects of the pandemic, Mr. Srinivas?
Thank you so much for your kind introduction. And Tata Trust have been at the forefront of solving, of coming shoulder to shoulder to with multiple organizations to find solutions to problems. Pandemic was something totally unexpected. We did not understand the dimensions of it, but we knew that it was a do or die kind of situation. And we were guided by Mr. Tata's vision and his munificence in and his timely responsiveness in allocating a huge amount of fund. As per the public records, Tata Trust is allocated around 500 crores and followed by the Tata Group, which allocated almost 1,500 crores. Now, how do we channelize the intent into actual action? Now, the leaders have demonstrated that they would want to work with the governments together, and therefore reach out to the last man standing. So Tata Trust looked at this opportunity and uh, had a four-pronged strategy. At the starting, when we were still trying to understand the dimensions, we did two things. One was to launch a very quick behavioral change communication campaign. And this was undertaken through our field presence in more than 2,000 villages. We could reach out along with our partners at the end of 4 months. We could reach out with essential COVID appropriate behavioral messages to almost 1.5 crore Indians who did not, at that point of time, we did not really know what precautions to take. So that became an important thing. This was followed all simultaneously with ordering, and India was still not producing enough PPE in March 2020. So Tata Trust placed orders and imported almost 200 tons of personal protective equipment and distributed it to more than 250 hospitals across 30 states. And these are like the private hospitals, but we also work with the 30 state governments, which also distributed amongst their own hospitals. So you can imagine the scale of sourcing, transporting, the logistics in the middle of pandemic, getting them through the customs, ensuring the quality of the PPE that is to be distributed, uh, bringing it to one central point in Pune where we had large warehouses, ensuring that it reaches the appropriate hospitals with the appropriate authorities, and it is used for the right purpose. So that entire exercise took place between April and June of 2020, almost up to July 2020. By then, India became more or less one of the hubs for producing PPE. But the initial initial gap that was to be filled, we felt was that our frontline health workers required this. A third strategy was simultaneously also to understand the guidelines coming from WHO and develop COVID specific facilities where you would not want the regular patients unnecessarily getting infected. Therefore, uh, six hospitals were designed and commissioned and subsequently handed over to state governments in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, and Uttar Pradesh, combining almost 1,000 bed capacity. So far, these have been able to treat almost 20,000 inpatients and 2.5 lakh outpatient. These are permanent facilities which can be repurposed for other, whenever anything happens.
Hmm.
The fourth one we undertook was in terms of building the capabilities of doctors and nurses. At that point of time in April 2020, there was a huge requirement just to understand what is this COVID, what are the infection related protocols to be followed within a facility, how does one take care of patients. So 80% of patients did not require anything advanced, they just needed basic thing, but 20% required advanced facilities including oxygen supply and maybe ventilators and others. So we got involved in building the capabilities. Almost 10,000 doctors and nurses were reached out, and they underwent 30-hour virtual program through two major institutions, CMC Vellore and Care Institute Hyderabad, which curated programs for us and delivered online for these doctors and nurses. In the second wave, we actually looked at the requirements of oxygen and commissioned more than looked at almost 65 hospitals across the country, which required not just oxygen supply but also critical care equipment to augment their ongoing capacity. So, very quickly, if you had to repurpose a general hospital into a COVID facility, what was it that was required in terms of equipment, in terms of infrastructure? We looked at and helped add almost 10,000 beds so far in the post the second wave kind of thing. So these were, these five pronged approach over the last 2 years has actually kept us engaged and ensured that we reach out and fill in the gaps in the system. Now, I should really commend the public health system, which rose to the challenge. Our frontline health workers, the ASHAs, ANMs, they did a wonderful job during the first uh, wave, treating, tracking, isolating, testing, and doing a bulk of the work in the interiors. Similarly, secondary and tertiary hospitals, partners who quickly repurpose their own existing facilities. I think it was a wonderful coming together of various stakeholders in the system.
Amazing, amazing initiatives, Mr. Srinivas, and hats off to you and your entire team at Tata Health. Must have been truly a challenging time in implementing all these the five dimensions of the strategies you just mentioned.
Yeah, and
Right
one
from
major, and one
uh,
major stakeholder was the Tata Group itself. Although
of course, yeah,
trusts have
Tata
been
Group.
traditionally different,
Yeah.
working, doing their own agenda,
Mhm.
this time around it worked as one Tata. We could draw upon all their expertise in terms of sourcing, in terms of transporting, logistics, helping them, and the responsiveness was amazing. Very quickly, we could get whatever we wanted from the vast network, and we could reach out. Yeah, thank you.
So, Mr. Srinivas, when we started all this now in March last year, I remember when once the lockdown was imposed, uh, most of us were clueless. What is going to happen? How will it unfold? Or how would the operations be continued? Yeah. And most of us were fortunate enough to work from the confines of their home, from the security and safety of our homes, because we had a different work profile. But that all these things which you have been mentioning, right from inculcating a behavioral change amongst the population to sourcing of very basic products like PPEs, then ensuring that they reach the end destination, to development of COVID facilities in accordance with the guidelines mentioned by WHO, uh, to building the capacity. So a lot of movement would require, in fact, moving out in the field. So must have been a challenging task. So how did you manage to handle all those challenges regarding the safety and security of your own staff?
Right. So that was a challenge in any case, because while we did not consider ourselves outside of the government system, in the sense you could see that the frontline health workers, the government was working, whether the police or the municipal administration or the doctors and nurses, everybody was working tirelessly. We did not consider ourselves separate, and the field workers, and I should really thank my team, not just in the health department, but all the teams across Tata Trust. And like I said, in the Tata Group, it was almost 2,000 volunteers who opted to work on these initiatives. So we did give them all a orientation about how to take care of themselves. What are the essential, safety practices if they need to go into the field? And yeah, it had to be done. It was done. Unfortunately, during the second pandemic, we did have quite a bit of our staff getting infected and getting admitted, and we lost a few of them. But that is where we try to make, it was not as if we were separate or elitist, or could be doing things on our own. It was like people went into the field, worked shoulder to shoulder with all the frontline health workers, and also the NGO partners. I should really commend some of our NGO partners who were there on the ground and were the last mile connectivity for us into different communities. So I think the goodwill that was built up over the last 100 years for Tata Trust helped people believe that we wanted to do something good quickly, and they came forward with their own resources and then identified and told us exactly where we should be plugging the gaps. So I think it was a multi-pronged, multi-stakeholder approach, and we were in a happy position to convene a lot of these stakeholders. Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm. So many of your staff, frontline staff, they got infected. Few of them got admitted, and some lost their lives also. You mentioned. So our tributes to all the fallen colleagues who just sacrificed themselves in the line of duty and towards the larger cause of serving the humankind. So our tribute and salute to all such colleagues of yours, and our salute to Tata Trust as well as Tata Group as a whole, which has been spearheading the cause of humanity at large. So, moving on from COVID, Mr. Srinivas, what are other healthcare projects which have been initiated by Tata Trust?
So, see, Tata Trusts have been traditionally established to tackle health, education, livelihoods, nutrition. These have been the challenges that the country has faced. Over the last 100 years, the approach has been to identify good partners who can work with us and, allow them to do their work, and, they can blossom and develop institutions. The last 8 to 10 years, the approach has slightly changed. In the accent has grown in wanting us ourselves to become accountable for the outcomes that we are chasing. So Tata Trust is now a little more hands-on than it was maybe even 10 years ago. So we do have multiple sites where we are working on finding solutions to some of the intractable problems, either in healthcare or in education or in livelihoods or nutrition. One of the biggest projects over the last few years has been in augmenting the nutrition status for a lot of youngsters who are otherwise having malnutrition as a problem.
Mm.
Then the second major issue which we have been trying to tackle through a distributed model has been developing a network of cancer care hospitals across northeast and east, which are traditionally underserved. And third, we have also partnered with multiple state governments and central government in trying to tackle first, get the right kind of data made available for the policymakers, and that is through the government strengthening the government's own programs. What we had for last 10 years, the NCD profiling of general population, right? So if we really look at the disease burden, it has moved decisively from 60% of mortality morbidity due to mother and child health and communicable diseases to 60% due to non-communicable diseases, and these include diabetes, hypertension, cancers. So the government of India had designed a program and has been empowering the frontline health workers to first go and do a population-based screening, uh, and somehow it was not yielding the optimal results. So we worked with Dell and developed a few small pilot programs in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. And this was seen by the government of India and adopted across the country. Over the last 4 years, we have been able to ensure that the frontline health workers are able to adapt to technologies, small apps, and ensure that they can reach out to more people. And more importantly, their workload in filling multiple registers has come down. And this data is the base on which, so to say, government of India has taken a lot of policy decisions, either in terms of augmenting the Ayushman Bharat program by announcing 150,000 health and wellness centers across the country, upgrading the existing system to tackle the non-communicable diseases right at the grassroots level. So the problem is complex, but at the root of it, if we are able to start and find solutions in delaying the progress of the disease, we can manage a lot more. We will not have surprise emergency admissions in terms of heart attacks or renal failures or strokes. So that is the premise on which Government of India is also working, and it is empowered a lot of state governments and the frontline health workers through additional investments into technology. So this is something which traditionally health is doctors, nurses, and hospital equipment. But this time around, the government has taken that they have understood that technology can overcome a lot more supply side constraints, and that is one initiative where we have worked closely with government. Couple of other initiatives are where we have tried to find how telemedicine can be actually demonstrated in terms of overcoming the distance and time issues. We're working very closely with government of Telangana. So far, we have networked about 150 PHCs and connected them to about 8 specialist centers through a care coordination center in Hyderabad. So what happens is patients need not travel to urban centers for getting advice on what to do for their health conditions. Their primary health doctor can actually ring up, get connected to a specialist in a medical college, and then advise the right treatment. And only so that has brought down unnecessary travel by almost half. So we are seeing some of these fruits results. That saves a lot of time and energy both for doctors on this side and the common patients on other hand. So we have we have designed programs. We have worked closely with a couple of other, few other organizations like Reliance Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Merck Foundation, and USAID in launching a program called ASMAN. This was launched in about 80 facilities across Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, and it has brought down the instances where we lose babies due to premature birth. So it was aimed at reducing the mortality and morbidity during those 3 days when the mother is in the facility. So these are pilot projects of substantial scale, which have now become models for the government to adapt if they would want to. We have also been working closely in developing, some of the interconnected devices and wearable devices in, point of care diagnostics, demonstrating the efficacy of some of these. And we have been funding some of these innovations through India Health Fund, whereby you don't really probably require a lot of radiologists. If you have some of the x-rays, then the software can actually tell whether a patient requires further treatment for any of these things. So on multiple fronts, product, institution, innovation, we have been partnering with all the appropriate stakeholders, and in the last 5 years, we have reached out to close to about 5 crore beneficiaries through these programs, multiple programs which I have mentioned to you just now.
Awesome. Awesome. And I see that you have also been leveraging technology in all your spheres of operation. And your pilot, which is being run, the pilot on telemedicine in the states of Andhra and Telangana, we hope that the same pilot is replicated, as mentioned by you also, in rest of the states, as well as taken by Government of India also. So we look forward to that day also coming soon. Mr. Srinivas, what are the parameters on which you choose? Because there are a lot of health is a very vast area, and all of them are important. I can't say that this is important, that is less important, and unfortunately, we can't take all the projects at the same time. There has to be some parameters on the basis of which we choose some and leave some. So, can you enumerate some of the parameters which Tata Trust gives a value to while choosing certain projects. Despite, and again I'm repeating, all the projects are equally important.
Correct. You are absolutely right. This is the dilemma we have day in, day out on where do we invest the money? What do we do? How do we get the best bang for the buck, so to say, if you know, typically speaking from a business point of view. Philanthropy that way has moved away from, like I said, essentially making grants to strategic philanthropy. We've been now tasked with what we call getting into finding solutions for some of these programs. Tata Trust, most of our, our role, we see ourselves as a catalyst. Which means we ignite a reaction within the ecosystem. Like I said, typically there is a problem. People are all probably, having issues of diabetes and hypertension. And then there is the government, which is saying that, okay, it's my prerogative or my bounden duty to take care of citizens. So what is intermediary like Tata Trust doing here? What we have understood is that while there is intent, the process know-how or better ways of doing things can be actually shared. And that is demonstrated through small pilot projects. So when we do a pilot project in a state and cover about, say, 1 million or 2 million beneficiaries, and then come up with the process which has cut down either the turnaround times, or it has given better coverage by 5 times to 10 times. That is when, governments and others, they sit up and notice, and we are open for this to be replicated and scaled up at their cost. So our funding goes typically in terms of scalable and replicable projects which find or at least demonstrate a solution to one of the intractable problems. Now, technology definitely plays a role, but what we believe is that people and process, innovation and technology, all the four need to be reconfigured. When I say reconfigured, in terms of people know one way of doing things, we can demonstrate a better way of doing things. People have certain capabilities, we can build up certain more capabilities. People are using one particular technology, we can demonstrate the use of what is more appropriate kind of a technology. So when I say this, our role is more in terms of wanting to better utilize existing capacities which have already been built up, which are totally underutilized today in our public health system. The skew, if you observe today, is more towards private tertiary care paid out of pocket in urban areas, whereas the need, requirement and solutions can be found in rural, tribal, public health systems at primary care level. So this can
Correct.
substantially take care of, movement to a tertiary system, movement from, public health to private health, movement from out of pocket to government funded insurance programs. So we are trying to correct the skew. We are trying to, do projects which can find solutions to some of these problems. So broadly, I've given you only maybe 30,000 feet kind of answer. We have developed a set of criteria. If there is a problem, how do we tackle the problem? What is the data showing us over the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years? Why? So it sort of comes out into a fishbone kind of a diagram, that people are dying, or mothers and children are probably not surviving. So what are these due to? So multiple areas are mapped out, what could cause ultimately, this mortality and morbidity. And then we realize, okay, this particular factor can be actually very quickly corrected. And there is another factor which requires a longer term investment and longer term demonstration. So that is how interventions are built. They're documented, and then they are demonstrated, and then the final results are advocated as in it is disseminated, and whoever is interested in doing it at a larger scale, typically governments most of the time. Other funding partners are also happy to take it up. We share all our results of these pilots. So that is how typical investment decision is taken. I should also tell that Tata Trust, uh, the importance given to health is I think 3 times more than any others. So I actually am working more on the public health system, but I have my colleagues who are working on larger projects in cancer and larger projects on nutrition. So these
Okay.
two, although part of health, have been given special attention within the trust. So you can imagine the overarching, attention the trust give for health and nutrition.
Plus cancer also.
Plus cancer, of course, health, nutrition, and cancer, all of them put together. I think we consume more than almost half of the outlay every year.
Okay. Okay. So remaining half, say, education or some other cause.
Yes, we are very strong on rural upliftment. That is a bigger portfolio, next bigger portfolio, and we are also working on education and water, clean drinking water kind of thing. But like I said, the attention from the trust members has been that we should tackle health. That has remained priority number one for the last so many years.
Great. So, out of your vast experience of your plus your groups as well, so according to you, how can we further strengthen the primary healthcare system in India?
So it's a complex problem. I would not say that we should. If we really look at three major things that are required, one is infrastructure, second is HR, third is process. And process would probably include some amount of technology. So when we say infrastructure, I think more or less the government has built a very tiered structure, but we really don't know what is the deficiencies either in the physical infrastructure or the equipment that has been supplied. We do have a sense that about 80 to 90% of it is really good. Maybe because of gaps in about 8 to 10% or 20% of these these areas, the infrastructure is not put to use, optimal use. Similarly, HR, we do have on paper doctors and nurses allocated to the far-flung primary health centers and sub-centers. In reality, only I think less than 10% of the doctors actually stay in rural areas where the need is most. It's not as if they are not attending to their duties, but we can have better coverage if we can assure population that the primary center is actually going to have a doctor and a nurse, the equipment and the supplies. So this is the hard part of it: the people, the infrastructure, equipment, and supply chain. The softer part is the processes. How do I approach a particular disease or a particular presentation? How proactive am I? Now, unfortunately, most of the public health programs are designed at Delhi. About 25 centrally designed programs are running at any given point of time. 90% the owners of delivering falls on the ASHAs and the ANMs, who are at the bottom most of the hierarchy. Now, how do we make life easier for them if they are to deliver, handle 25 different programs and fill in 20 different registers? Are they meant for data collection or are they meant for care delivery? So how many trainings can you do for them? And what is their... So I think we need to really look at the different strands which are affecting, impacting why people don't prefer primary care and why they land up in tertiary care. In a city, in a urban tertiary care, I am assured of the presence of a doctor, I am assured of the presence of a nurse. medicines, and probably I may have to shell out, but I am assured of good care. All these things are funded by the government. They have established the hospitals. They have established they have recruited their doctors and nurses. They are sending some amount of medicines to the ground, but people are still not utilizing them. So that is the biggest challenge, as to how do we empower at the bottom of the pyramid, where 60 to 70% can be tackled at that level. And that's a challenge. I think multiple agencies have been working on these problems, and generally coming down to giving better monitoring tools, better governance tools, for so that responsiveness is increased faster. That suppose there is some issues with supplies, or some issues with equipment, or issues with staff attendance, or issues with skills, all these can be monitored much more rigorously, much more real time, if we have the technology tools, and if there is the intent to deliver these things. I think it is very much possible. It needs to be demonstrated, and needs to be adapted.
Very true, Mr. Srinivas. As you rightly mentioned, that unless we have the capacity development and empowerment of the grassroots level healthcare workers, so whatever policy we might be making at the top of the pyramid may not actually percolate as what was originally envisaged. So a very interesting discussion we had here with Mr. HSD Srinivas, Director Health Public Trust, Tata Trust. In fact, this is such an interesting discussion that it can go on, and Mr. Srinivas has got so much to share with the viewers here. But fortunately, due to the paucity of time, it may not be possible, at least during this session. My sincere thanks and greetings to Mr. HSD Srinivas once again for leading the entire team of health at Tata Trust. They have been actually working as a catalyst in transforming the India's healthcare infrastructure, primarily into the rural and tribal hinterland, as mentioned by him. And he had mentioned 4 pillars of this transformation of the healthcare, starting from people and HR, to infrastructure, to innovation, to finally how are we able to tweak technology and bring out the real transformation in the healthcare delivery. So with this, I thank you once again, Mr. Srinivas. And Mr. Srinivas also mentioned that during the course of discharging their duties and commitments to the society, their own colleagues also fell in the line of duty in these difficult times. So a tribute from entire Elite's Technomedia family to those fallen colleagues. With this, we conclude this session. Once again, Mr. Srinivas, thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your valuable inputs. We do hope that these inputs act as an actual catalyst in ushering more reforms and more changes in the healthcare system. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this opportunity.
My colleague Karthik is back here. Yeah, Karthik, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas. And I think it was a wonderful interaction and quite enlightening for us that so much work Tata Trust is doing in health sector, and also great to know about the future plans of Tata Trust in improving the healthcare across the country. And thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas, for being here with us for this Elite's Innovation Talk. And thank you so much, Mr. Krishna Mishra, for wonderfully moderating this interaction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, sir.
विश्व में हमने युवाओं की IT एनर्जी के माध्यम से अपना एक रुतबा खड़ा किया है और भारत इसके बात के लिए गर्व कर सकता है। दुनिया में हम आंख में आंख मिला करके बात कर सकते हैं। और ये मेरा साथ मैं हमेशा कहता आया हूँ, IT plus IT is equal to IT. Information technology plus Indian talent is equal to India tomorrow.